Hey everybody, and welcome back to the 11th episode now of TechZulu Live. I'm your host, Amanda Coulong. I finally have my voice back from all of the shows that we've been at recently, and I am happy to tell you that I'm not going to get anyone sick. So, I'm sure my guest in studio will be very happy with that. I am joined today with Somrat Niyogi of Miso. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm great. Yeah, finally. You know, I had myself quarantined for a while. Pretty bad.
That sounds horrible.
So Miso was really bad. We don't want to talk about it anymore. But Miso's it's a social platform that's changing the way people watch television, correct?
That's what we're trying to do.
The big statement, right? Well,
that is what we're trying to do. We're trying to make TV watching better.
I like that. Well, we'll get into it in a second. Let's start with some news stories. But before then, if you're all joining us here live, you can get in touch with us either in the chat room, and Efren can ask me questions and we can address them directly. Or you can also follow at TechZulu on Twitter and use our hashtag TZLive and ask us questions that way as well. So please participate and let us know what you think. So let's start with a few stories, Somrat. WikiLeaks. Let's start off with that. Everyone is still talking about the fact that WikiLeaks, which is this anti-secrecy site that's been known for publishing secret, government documents and whatnot, they've recently released another round of documents that really aren't that bad, folks, but whatever. They released a few, and they had some denial of service attacks that came out of it, and because of that, they switched their hosting provider from, I believe, a company in Sweden or something like that, over to Amazon. And so they switched to Amazon EC2. And I believe some of those servers were in France, and part of the speculation is that they did that to avoid any problems with the US. And then Senator Joe Lieberman kicks in and says, you've got Amazon, you've got to take these guys down. You cannot let them host, these secret leaked documents on your servers, take them down. Well, with the pressure from Lieberman and also knowing that Amazon is really courting the federal government in terms of cloud computing, they caved and they kicked off WikiLeaks from their servers. So everyone's sort of up in arms at this point now because cloud computing's been a huge hit. I know you've got a background in cloud computing.
Yeah, that just sounds...
what are the implications with this?
Yeah, I think that's... whoa, my phone's on.
Oh, we have someone actually calling in with a question. Look at that, folks.
We have... it's funny, we talk about... I used to work for Salesforce.com, and... initially there was always this concern about putting data in the cloud, and I think it's ridiculous. I think in the next 3 to 5 years, this whole conversation about security and putting sensitive documents sort of in the cloud is going to fundamentally just sort of disappear.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, there's going to be everything that you access is no longer going to be sort of client-server driven. It's all going to be accessed in the cloud. I mean, the way I think about it is, I use Mint.com, and all my personal finance is accessible in the cloud. So if I can access my personal data, why can't, and that's probably the most sensitive material for me, I don't understand why anything else can't be in the cloud.
Right.
So that's just the way I look at it.
And I mean, do you think that Amazon's completely crossed over a line with this? I mean, if we are going to start hosting all of our information in the cloud, whether it's our personal information or business critical information, who's to say that they can't pull the plug for other reasons on people? I mean, do you think that they went too far, or do you think that they have a responsibility in some ways to proactively look into questionable uses of their cloud?
I think Amazon should have not pulled the plug. I think they should have talked more about their security, talked about their ability to maintain high secure information in the cloud, rather than saying, the fact that they did take it down shows is Amazon secure enough, right? And I think
and
they didn't
who
put
else
their
is going to cave to government pressure?
And I think I think they should have addressed that more head on and said, hey, and had a stance against putting things in the cloud. So I'm a little disappointed in seeing Amazon kind of go through that process. But hey, there's always conversations that you don't even know about, and all of a sudden, maybe, who knows? It's ridiculous what happens.
Yeah.
At Salesforce, I know there was always this fear when you work with financial institutions, and there's several projects that I worked on. We work with Deutsche Bank, we work with SunGard, and obviously there were social security numbers. And there are legal aspects around what you can do, what you encrypt. So maybe there are certain aspects of their technology that didn't have. But if it was just a document, I would expect them to be encrypted no matter what. So
well, I mean, what it boils down to is it Amazon's responsibility, or for that matter, any cloud provider's responsibility to be paying attention to what exactly it is that their customers are hosting on their service?
They can't. You can't scale. You just can't. If I was Amazon, I don't know how you can just see every single thing that happens that goes through your business.
And should there be some sort of watchdog organization or governing body that does say you're breaking the law
there might be, I think there's going to, there's always some regulatory system that gets created. And there probably will be something that is third-party oriented that will go check data that goes in between the layers. But just like how you think about the layers of security, I think there is going to be some sort of third party. But I don't think it exists today. But I'm disappointed to see Amazon kind of cave in, and when they should have put a stance saying, hey, we do have a highly secure infrastructure in place already.
Well, I just want the cloud to work well, because I just got this MacBook Air, everybody. See, ta-da, show notes. And I have to say, it's lightweight and lovely. See, I can hold it with one hand with my midget hands. But it's been loading the internet somewhat slow, and it's not Coloft's fault. Because, by the way, we are shooting at Coloft today, in case you haven't heard of them before. They're a wonderful co-working space here in Santa Monica, California. So it's definitely not their internet connection, which is spot on. It's the air that's giving me a problem. Anyway, cloud computing, got to keep a question mark in there. Well, let's jump to a few other quick stories. Netflix. I'm a personal Netflix lover. I have an account with them. I'm testing out Netflix on my Google TV. I mean, not my Google. I've got Apple TV right now. I've played around with Google TV a little. And they're willing to pay $100,000 an episode of primetime television in order to really bolster their streaming service. So obviously they're a front runner when it comes to this stuff, but do you think that's kind of a hefty price tag? Do you think that they should really be shelling out that kind of money for this stuff?
I'm sure that, I pay, I think, $20 a month. And it's funny, some months I pay for it and I never really watch anything on Netflix, and I'm just wondering, hey, should I pay for Netflix at all? But it's about convenience, it's about control. $100,000 an episode, how many people does that really cost to actually get to make that money back?
Well, that's what I was going to say, is do we as the consumers see an uptick in the monthly price point if they're shelling out $100,000 for an episode?
I think at the end of the day, like, what really comes down to is that people just want convenience and control over what they watch. And if Netflix is the path to making that happen, and Hulu is another path to making it happen, people want to watch whatever they watch whenever they want to watch it. And I think
right now.
Everything's about right now. And so, Netflix will do whatever it takes because they fundamentally believe in that philosophy. And so that's their path from, going to streaming. And so I think Hulu's going to come and compete directly with Netflix on that.
Well, did you see today that Hulu announced that they're open to getting more funding? There you go.
I thought they're going for IPO or something like that. Is that?
Possibly.
It's possible.
Anybody in the chat room know? Make sure you let us know.
I think I'm a firm believer in what they're trying to do. I think their whole mission about, we fundamentally believe that people should watch whatever they watch whenever they want to watch it, no matter what device they're using. And I think that's a claim for the future versus right now it's the idea of scheduled programming. Economics aside, the content creators aside, I think $100,000 a pop, hey, if that makes it easier for people to watch whatever episode whenever they watch it, it'll succeed in the long run.
All right. Well, what do all of you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let us know why. And make sure you use the hashtag TZLive. Google Chrome OS, the operating system that's supposedly almost completely cloud-based, is not going to make its holiday target. They're behind the ball a little bit with that. And what I want to know from you is, do you think that they've completely missed the mark with Google Chrome, with their OS, because it was meant more for netbooks and things like that. But now we're seeing this movement toward tablets. Obviously there are things like the Air, but do you think they're still going to move forward with it, or do you think they're going to wave bye-bye kind of? I think
what I'm more confused by is this merger of the Android OS to the Chrome OS. Like, when is that?
Exactly.
When is that? What is the difference in the long run if Android is also an OS? And it's like, what is the difference? Could an Android OS exist on a laptop? I mean, it's the same thing you're seeing with Apple as well, where now you can download applications on the Mac in the same way you can download. So what is the difference between, everything's accessible in the cloud? I don't know whether they're missing the mark or not. I think if anything, it's what is Chrome OS and why should I use it and why is it better? I mean, but if it's all about getting manufacturers like, hey, I make another netbook to use it, I'm more concerned about, are the manufacturers giving up on the whole idea of a cloud-based OS? Because obviously Google's sort of leading that charge. And I don't think, hopefully the manufacturers of these netbooks aren't giving up. Granted, it's not about a netbook. To me, it's about these devices that make it more convenient. So in the future, I do think tablets are going to be important. iPad is obviously very successful, but I heard Samsung is doing well with their Android tablet. I mean, it looks smaller and looks different. But I'm just, I hope the manufacturers don't give up. I do believe people want better devices so they can access information better.
I'm curious to see what sort of devices we see at the Consumer Electronics Show.
I think it's going to be interesting. Vegas will be interesting this year.
We will definitely get into that. This next story isn't exactly a tech story. Well, it's, science, tech, but I just wanted to throw it out there because, well, I've always wondered, do aliens exist? Come on, you all wonder. You all ask the question, is there life outside of Earth? I mean, it'd be a lonely place if there wasn't.
Yeah, of course.
So NASA had a huge press conference yesterday. I don't know if you noticed, but they made this whole hullabaloo about how they had a 2 p.m. press conference and that they were going to talk about something related to aliens. So everyone's like, damn, did they finally, on the edges of the galaxy, finally spot alien life? No, it was bacteria.
Yeah.
Literally bacteria. Apparently it was this form of bacteria that they found in Mono Lake in Northern California. And the big thing about it is that it can survive and reproduce using arsenic. That was the big news. Come on, NASA, a huge press conference about a bacteria.
Everybody wants a good story. Everybody wants a good story.
I mean, talk about building buzz. Come on, I'll give you that much. But and also they call it GFAJ-1. Can't you give it some funky, cool name that everyone's going to remember? Why does it have to be a series of letters and numbers?
That's what NASA does. Why? I mean, NASA always has to put an acronym on top of everything because that sounds.
But so GFAJ-1.
Hey, it sounds cool.
For a bacteria that reproduces
I'm
arsenic?
product. I'm going to call products like that. NASA has to do that.
That's a pretty kick-ass bacteria, though, if it can reproduce an arsenic.
That does sound cool.
So, I don't know. I had to throw that curveball in there because, well, it just entertained me.
Hey, you know what? Aliens exist. No, I'm just kidding.
There we go. You heard it from him. That's a good TED Talk.
Let's go.
All right. And then finally, last story, Foursquare's in a deal to create a TV series. Have you heard that?
I heard about that.
What are your thoughts on that, especially as it relates to
social
television?
Endemol is supposed to, is going to be the ones doing it.
Yep.
There's some... I'll say this, Foursquare is fun, right? You check into places, there's points, badges. I think there is a game.
What could that sort of series be like?
I don't know. I mean, I tell you what, I love Amazing Race. And Amazing Race is all about, flying around the world and seeing cool things.
And Lost did some interesting things in terms of Twitter and, stuff like that back in the day.
I like the fact that you have production companies looking at innovative startups and figuring out how can I connect the dots? How can I make these? How can I actually build something on top of these platforms? And I think that's interesting. And so I really commend Foursquare and sort of helping them sort of realize this. I am curious to see what it exactly looks like. I'm curious to see if viewers follow.
They're being very tight-lipped about it. I mean, they're just saying, they could create this TV series. Well, is it where Foursquare is just integrated as part of the experience, or
I don't know.
Are they talking with Miso?
No comments. No, they're not. They're not talking to us. I will say that I think there is something there. But what's surprising is why isn't there a Twitter game? Why isn't there a Twitter show?
Exactly.
If Foursquare is coming in out of nowhere.
I mean, come on. They make a movie about Facebook. Now they're doing a TV series about Foursquare.
Where's the Twitter? Where's the Twitter one?
Twitter.
I know. So I'm kind of wondering, Twitter's probably in the sideline. Maybe
I'm hearing crickets instead of birds.
I think there might be Twitter news or something. I think I heard that might happen. So I don't know whether that's interesting or not, but I feel bad for those guys.
Yeah.
Foursquare gets all the shine.
I know, it's not fair, this whole gaming mechanism. Anyway, we'll get into that. So Miso, social TV, big bucket here. We've seen a number of players over the years try and harness this notion of social TV, and it seems like we're finally possibly in a place where it could really take off, because we've got things like, you know, these different set-top boxes. You've got Apple TV, you've got Google TV, you've got Boxy, you've got Roku, all of these things coming out that could lead to mass consumer adoption. That's a lot easier than, you know, using a bunch of adapters to hook your laptop up to your TV. So you're seeing that kind of bubbling up to the surface more, and you know, those have all launched quite recently. Plus you've got